Okay, friends in YouTube land, we're going to talk about part 3 of the Route 66 trip, getting into wonderful places like Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, maybe even California. We'll see how my time management goes and how much we have to share. But I wanted to get this filmed and pre-staged because Friday I roll for the first time to Bike Week in Sturgis, and we'll probably have a few things to say about that as well. So, where I left off, we had just arrived at Shamrock, Texas, and it was a really nice hotel. It was hot that day, or so we thought getting there. And they had a pool, but they had covered it probably because of maintenance fees. So we were left to our own devices to find a way to cool off. And it turns out there was a nice little bar and grill not too far from the hotel. So I found myself a little bit of margarita and had a really nice barbecue sandwich for supper. Kurt, I think, had a couple beers and some wings. Not too much else to say about that, except while we were there, we actually went over to one of the local liquor stores and I found a bottle of Buffalo Trace. I've been wanting to try it for some time, but it's been almost impossible to find in Minnesota. One of the YouTube channels that I watch, ADHD Whiskey, has mentioned it, and I've heard from friends that it's really good. So I picked up a bottle, and suddenly I had to find a way to get it back home. We won't get into that, but it did survive, and it is here. I've tried it, and it is very good. So next morning we got up. It was early, and we could see some of the neon lights of the town. And actually, I would say that Shamrock, Texas is probably where we saw the most neon on the signs actually lit up on the route. Headed off for breakfast, had breakfast at a diner, and we thought the previous day was hot, but we started learning at this point what hot really was, as we started heading away from Texas and getting a little bit closer to New Mexico. I'm gonna point at you. I'm gonna point at you. I'm gonna point at you.
What up?
Yummy. So, Santa Monica, we are in a really cool place. Totally 50s. And when Kurt, man, I need to get something to eat. When Kurt booked the place, he had no idea it was a suite. So that's pretty rad. The next day, we left Santa Fe and started making our way towards Albuquerque. I learned an important lesson that morning, and that is do not put your iPhone in a motorcycle holder upside down, or it will call 911 because the right buttons get pushed to go into emergency mode. Thankfully, nothing happened. We seemingly caught it before any damage occurred. But keep that in mind. Um, on the way, we stopped at one of the oldest churches in the area and took a look, and also stopped off at Maggie's from Wild Hogs. For those of you that have seen it, this is the restaurant that the main crew, the Wild Hogs, stopped at after being stranded in the desert, desperate for water. And is also the last stand at between the Wild Hogs and the DMC. Eventually, we did get to Albuquerque, and the plan was to eat breakfast at Lola's, which is the restaurant from Breaking Bad. And Albuquerque is an interesting place. We got quite a dance from one of the locals on the side of the street. Not sure what that was about, but it was entertaining. Wednesday brings us to the Wigwam Hotel in Arizona, and this place is a trip. Super awesome. This is a Volkswagen Bug that's been turned into a camper. It's pretty incredible. We get to stay right there in the Wigwam. There's old cars everywhere, and I'm just gonna take a little meander over to the main lobby because Kurt tells me there's a gift store. It's been an interesting day of, believe it or not, arson and knife fights and hailstorms. Maybe I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about that once we've gotten some dinner. And one of the other cool things is there's a bar here called the Masons or something like that we're going to check out. Today was an epic day, and it's very difficult just to share the experience by myself. So I'm gonna ask for some help from my cohort here, just to go over what happened, because it included arson, it included knife fighting, it included hail, and a myriad of other wonderful things. We did start the day by going to Lola's, so maybe that was setting the precedence a little bit of meth Breaking Bad stuff going on, and then there was this bleach blonde gal that did quite the dance for us on the side of the road in Albuquerque. We're not real sure what that was about. So you gonna tell the story, Kurt?
No, I'm good.
All right, he's not gonna tell the story. So we go rolling into Gallup, and as we roll into Gallup, we checked out some sites. We went to El Rancho, right? That was the name of the hotel we checked out.
Yep.
Yep.
El Rancho.
El Rancho, which means
The Rancho.
the Rancho. All right. So mosey down the road. Mosey's a technical term that's very New Mexico-y, and pulled into a New Mexico type restaurant. I think it was run by Navajos because the guy who owned it previously was a code talker. So that was pretty cool. As we pulled in, this cowboy-looking guy kind of screams at us. I think he said, "The rain's going to the south," which was good because we were trying not to get wet. We went into the restaurant, sat down, and before we knew it, some gal was yelling, "A bike is on fire." And before I could say, Kurt was out of his chair pretty instantaneous. It was impressive how quick he got up. Didn't turn out to be either of our bikes, but piecing some of what happened together, it turns out that the cowboy-looking guy that was telling us about the rain was disgruntled because next door to the restaurant was an adult bookstore. And apparently he had, for some undetermined reason, gotten kicked out of said bookstore. Did you ever hear why?
Wasn't behaving like an adult. Probably.
No. All right. So, anyhow, apparently this made him upset enough to cut the fuel line on the bike that we thought was his. But seeing that he was in crutches later, we figured out that's really probably not his bike. We think it was the owner of the bookstore's bike, or not the owner, but a worker. And he proceeded to cut the fuel line and light the bike on fire. To which the worker came out screaming, "That guy just set the bike on fire. Detain him." And that's a funny choice of words. Because I'll bleep it out, Kurt. Am I being detained? And then what's the next part?
You shut the up.
That guy didn't do that.
He did not.
So, anyway, as this guy approached said cowboy drew a knife, and then it got scary, and threatened to do in the guy. And then he wielded the knife upside down, like he was going to go into hand-to-hand knife combat. And then it looked like he was going to throw it. That's when things got really scary.
It was basically a pretty intense cowboy and Indian night.
Yeah, Wild West. That's what my friends on Facebook said, and it really was. And then they called the police, and I forgot a key part of this. While the bike was on fire, you had like 3 of the kitchen staff going out with fire extinguishers. I thought for sure that the bike was going to explode and do them in. So the police came, demanded that the guy get on his stomach, which he did. He threw his knife. They asked him to throw his phone. They drew on him.
Oh, yeah.
They were not kidding around. Cuffed him, and I think they kept him out there in the rain for 20 minutes.
I'm surprised, though, because the guy was holding a cell phone the whole time. He's lucky
that they didn't get capped. Yeah. Anyway, nobody, as far as I know, got hurt. I have a feeling the cowboy is going to the pokey. And, yeah, it was an interesting day. So then it started raining. Power went out. We waited out the rain as well as we could. Got on the bike, started heading for Arizona, and hit hail. And I think this was the first time I've actually ridden through hail. It couldn't have been very big. Smaller than pea size, but that was enough. It kind of stung, and there was really nowhere to go. It was pretty short-lived. Drove up into our Wigwam hotels. This place is just amazingly awesome. The hotel rooms are cool. They look like giant teepees. They've got really nostalgic cars all around the place. Front desk worker's a really nice gal. Gonna bring Amanda and the girls back out here for sure. Anyway, tomorrow we head towards the Grand Canyon, so it will be another fun day. And there were a lot of ghost towns that we saw as we were riding through New Mexico and even across Texas. We learned that in Oklahoma, you are going to maybe lose a filling. Your teeth will be chattering so bad from the rough roads. Texas was a lot of fun. The people were really nice. There's just, if you ever want to take a trip and feel like you're in a post-apocalyptic movie, take 66, because there are places that you know that at one point there was activity. Some of them look like they've been abandoned since the 50s. Some of them look like they've been abandoned since the 80s or 90s. Some have been left mainly alone, except for Mother Nature. Others have been vandalized pretty extensively. So this route has been everything I expected and more. It's been phenomenally awesome. There are reservations that you go across, a lot of stores. Gives you a good appreciation too for everything that we have in Minnesota, and especially if you live in the Rochester area. It's a trip I would recommend to anybody. Anyway, that's about enough for today. I'm going to let Kurt get to sleep, and I look forward to chatting more tomorrow. We'll have some other good stuff to show from the Grand Canyon area. And that's where I'm going to cut it off for this episode. So I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll keep coming back. There will be episodes talking about Sturgis very soon. And in the meantime, my friends, remember to see the beautiful things that are around you every day.